The mainstream media catapulted him to the number one. And then it was within 30 days, we had the Fox News debate when Murdoch and Ailes, or particularly Murdoch and Ailes, for being the part of the Bush apparatus, decided they were going to kneecap Donald Trump right out of the box. And that's what Megyn Kelly, they went through his Twitter feed, they went through all the Apprentice tapes, they went through everything and came out and did a hit like the left would do on somebody. And that's when all war broke out.
Today we are watching the recap of the 2016 GOP debates. This is where Trump had a rise in support, and this was like nobody has ever seen debating and name calling, and it was just pandemonia. And I just can't believe we're at a second Trump presidency now, and that was 12 years ago. Just completely blows my mind, and I'm looking forward to watching this, and it's going to be such a eye-opening experience. I really think so. So with that being said, let's get into it.
It is 9 p.m. on the East Coast, and the moment of truth has arrived. Welcome to the first debate night of the 2016 presidential campaign, live from Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, Ohio.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Again, we're looking for you to raise your hand now. Raise your hand now if you won't make that pledge tonight.
The only
Mr.
one.
Trump. So, Mr. Trump, to be clear, you're standing on a Republican primary.
I fully understand.
The place where the RNC will give the nominee the nod.
I fully understand.
And that experts say an independent run would almost certainly hand the race over to Democrats and likely another Clinton. You can't say tonight that you can make that pledge.
I cannot say. I have to respect the person that if it's not me, the person that wins. If I do win and I'm leading by quite a bit, that's what I want to do. I can totally make that pledge if I'm the nominee.
What's wrong? He buys and sells politicians of all stripes. He's already, hey, look, he's already hedging his bet on the Clintons, okay? So if he doesn't run as a Republican, maybe he supports Clinton or maybe runs as an independent.
Okay.
But I'd say that he's already hedging his bets because he's used to buying politicians.
Well, I've given him plenty of money. By so many people, and I don't frankly have time for total political correctness. And to be honest with you, this country doesn't have time either. And honestly, Megyn, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that. First of all, Rand.
He was way ahead of his time talking about political correctness, in my opinion. He was one of the first GOP candidates to really hammer down on political correctness. And it's just so crazy to see 8 years from this, 9 years from this, we have had the biggest shift away from political correctness, and it started right here.
Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls, and how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway.
I think really there's a sophomore quality that is entertaining about Mr. Trump. But I am worried. I'm very concerned
the second
about
debate.
Having him in charge of the nuclear weapons, because I think his response, his visceral response to attack people on their appearance, short, tall, fat, ugly. My goodness, that happened in junior high. Are we not way above that? Would we not all be worried to have someone like that in charge of the nuclear arsenal?
Mr. Trump.
I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there.
You got, according to your...
You forget how hard he roasted these people. That's so crazy.
To what you said on one of the talk shows, you got Hillary Clinton to go to your wedding because you gave her money. True. Maybe it works for Hillary Clinton. It doesn't work for anybody on this stage.
I was a businessman. I got along with Clinton. I got along with everybody. That was my job, to get along with people.
But the simple fact is,
excuse me, 1 second.
No.
I
The
didn't
simple
want to.
fact is, Donald, you cannot take
more energy tonight. I like that. Look,
I was asked the question.
I didn't want. It was my obligation as a businessman to my family, to my company, to my employees to get along with all politicians. I got along with all of them, and I did a damn good job in doing it. Go ahead.
So
he really did. And if you look at the Trump documentary on Netflix, you really see that he talked to all of the politicians in New York, and I'm sure DC as well. So it's remarkable how right he actually was.
Oh, he supports Pelosi. He supports Schumer. He supports Clinton.
Got along with everybody.
And when he asked Florida to have casino gambling, we said no.
Wrong.
We said no, and that's the simple fact.
Don't make things up, Jeff.
And Mr. Trump, we don't need an apprentice in the White House. We don't need an apprentice in the White House. We have one right now. He told us all the things we wanted to hear back in 2008. We don't know who you are or where you're going.
Governor Bush, you recently said while discussing Planned Parenthood, quote, "You're not sure we need $500 million for women's health issues." Now, you since said that you misspoke. You didn't mean to say women's health issues, but Donald Trump said that quote, that comment, which Hillary Clinton did seize upon immediately, will haunt you the same way Mitt Romney's 47% video haunted him. Tell Donald Trump why he's wrong.
Well, he's wrong on a lot of things, but on this he's wrong because I'm the most pro-life governor on this stage.
You said you're going to cut funding for women's health issues. You said it.
Record.
Yeah, except you said it.
In an interview last week in Rolling Stone magazine, Donald Trump said the following about you, quote, "Look at that face. Would anyone vote for that? Can you imagine that, the face of our next president?" Mr. Trump later said he was talking about your persona, not your appearance. Please feel free to respond what you think about his persona.
You know, it's interesting to me. Mr. Trump said that he heard Mr. Bush very clearly and what Mr. Bush said. I think women all over this country heard very clearly what Mr. Trump said.
So she tried to do she went with the political thread the needle route, and Donald Trump did not do that at all this entire both of these debates so far.
Mr. Trump, yes, you've done very well in this campaign so far by promising to build a wall and make another country pay for it. Right. Send 11 million people out of the country. Cut taxes $10 trillion without increasing the deficit. Right. And make Americans better off because your greatness would replace the stupidity and incompetence of others. That's right. Let's be honest. Is this a comic book version of a presidential campaign?
It's not a comic book, and it's not a very nicely asked question the way you say that. Probably in terms of applying for a job of president, the weakness would be not really seeing myself in that position.
I never forgive. I find it very, very hard to forgive people that deceived me.
That we're just going to be great, or we're going to ship 10 million Americans or 10 million people out of this country, leaving their children here in this country and dividing families. Folks, we got to wake up. We cannot elect somebody that doesn't know how to do the job.
This is the man that was a managing general partner at Lehman Brothers when it went down the tubes and almost took every one of us with us. He was so nice. He was such a nice guy. And he said, "Oh, I'm never going to attack." But then his poll numbers tanked. That's why he's on the end. And he got nasty.
But Marco, when you signed up for this was a 6-year term. And you should be showing up to work. I mean, literally, the Senate, what is it, like a French work week? You get like 3 days where you have to show up. You can campaign or just resign and let someone else take the job.
Let me tell you, I don't remember you ever complaining about John McCain's vote record. The only reason why you're doing it now is because we're running for the same position, and someone has convinced you that attacking me is going to help you. Here's the bottom line. My campaign is going to be about the future of
Jeb Bush got served up all of these debates. He got served by everybody. It's hilarious.
America. It's not going to be about attacking anyone else on the stage.
This is not a cage match. And you look at the questions. Donald Trump, are you a comic book villain? Ben Carson, can you do math? John Kasich, will you insult 2 people over here? Marco Rubio, why don't you resign? Jeb Bush, why have your numbers fallen? How about talking about the substantive issues people care about?
All right, Ted.
You know, what we should vet all candidates. I have no problem with being vetted. What I do have a problem with is being lied about.
We will have a wall. The wall will be built. The wall will be successful. And if you think walls don't work, all you have to do is ask Israel.
You know, I can remember as a youngster, you know, my first job working in our laboratory as a lab assistant and multiple other jobs. But I would not have gotten those jobs if someone had to pay me a large amount of money. But what I did gain from those jobs is a tremendous amount of experience.
Come on, folks. We all know you can't pick them up and ship them back across the border. It's a silly argument. It's not an adult argument. It makes no
all
sense.
I can say is you're lucky in Ohio that you struck oil.
And yes, I do want to rebuild the American military. I know that Rand is a committed isolationist. I'm not. I believe the world is a stronger and a better place when the United States is the strongest military power in the world.
Marco, how is it conservative? How is it conservative to add $1 trillion expenditure for the federal government that you're not paying for? How is it conservative? How is it conservative to add $1 trillion in military expenditures? You cannot be a conservative if you're going to keep promoting new programs that you're not going to pay for.
I may respond more quickly. We can't even have an economy if we're not safe.
But as far as the Ukraine is concerned, and you could say Syria, as far as Syria, I like if Putin wants to go in, and I got to know him very well because we were both on 60 Minutes. We were stablemates, so we did very well that night.
We're not going to be the world's policeman, but we sure as heck better be the world's leader. There's a huge difference where without us leading, voids are filled. And the idea that it's a good idea for Putin to be in Syria, let ISIS take out Assad, and then Putin will take out ISIS. I mean, that's like a board game. That's like playing Monopoly or something. That's not how the real world works.
There he is, squeaking it out.
Just last weekend, a friend asked one of my daughters, do you like politics? And my daughter said, no, I don't.
Our country is out of control. People are pouring across the southern border. I will build a wall. It'll be a great wall. People will not come in unless they come in legally. Drugs will not pour through that wall.
So Donald, is great at the one-liners. But he's a chaos candidate, and he'd be a chaos president. He would not be the commander-in-chief we need to keep our country safe.
Mr. Trump. Jeb doesn't really believe I'm unhinged. He said that very simply because he has failed in this campaign. It's been a total disaster. Nobody cares.
We have to get rid of all this PC stuff. And people are worried about somebody's going to say that I'm Islamophobic or what have you. This is craziness because we are at war. That's why I asked Congress, go ahead and declare the war. We need to be on a war footing.
You've said you disagree with Mr. Trump's policy. I don't want a cage match. You've tweeted you don't want a cage match, but Republican primary voters deserve to know.
I'm reminded of what FDR's grandfather said. He said, all horse thieves are Democrats, but not all Democrats are horse thieves.
This is not just the most capable, it is the most sophisticated terror threat we have ever faced. We are now at a time when we need more tools, not less tools. And that tool we lost, the metadata program, was a valuable tool that we no longer have at our disposal.
Senator Cruz?
Well, I would note that Marco knows what he's saying isn't true.
But he's the weakest of all the candidates on immigration. He is the one for an open border that is leaving us.
It's wild to see all of these, basically every single one of these Republican candidates fall in line with the Trump agenda. It is baffling to see that. It's wild. They were so incredibly against him when it came to his style, who he is, what he could do for the country. And here they are, right? 9 years later, totally backing him. Wild. Or downright working for him and with him. I guess technically they all work for him, but they work with him really, really well and carry out his agenda incredibly smoothly. And I'm just pumped to see everybody really, really coming together and creating a serious amount of momentum within politics. It's crazy to
Just
see.
defenseless. If we want to defend the country, we have to defend against who's are coming in. And Marco has more of an allegiance to Chuck Schumer and to the liberals than he does to conservative policy.
If your eyes are glazing over like mine, this is what it's like to be on the floor of the United States Senate.
Are you open to closing parts of the internet?
I would certainly be open to closing areas where we are at war with somebody. I sure as hell don't want to let people that want to kill us and kill our nation use our internet. Yes, sir, I am.
Is Donald Trump a serious candidate? The reason I ask this is if you're going to close the internet, realize, America, what that entails. That entails getting rid of the First Amendment.
Talking about ruthless things tonight, carpet bombing, toughness, war. And people wonder, could you do that? Could you order airstrikes that would kill innocent children?
You should see the eyes of some of those children when I say to them, we're going to have to open your head up and take out this tumor. They're not happy about it, believe me. And they don't like me very much at that point.
There's no way if Saddam had not had weapons of mass destruction, I would have gone. Because I don't believe that U.S. should be involved directly in civil wars. We will secure the border. We will triple the Border Patrol. We will build a wall that works, and I'll get Donald Trump to pay for it.
I'll build it.
Using to lead the fight against amnesty.
Support legalizing
he campaigned.
Ted is really threading the needle, right? He's doing his job, showing a little strength or whatever, but he really is joking around with Trump, which I think he understands what's happening throughout this whole debates, right? Every single time Trump got on air, his numbers went up in the polls and the View who they want as the candidate. So I see what he's doing.
Promising to lead the fight against
Ladies
amnesty.
and gentlemen,
it's
this is why.
Senator Cruz, can you answer that question, please?
Does Ted Cruz rule out ever legalizing people that are in this country illegally now?
Senator Cruz?
I have never supported legalization.
Do you rule it out?
I have never supported legalization, and I do not intend to support legalization. And let me tell you how you do this. What you do is you enforce the law. What you do is you enforce the law.
Ms. Fiorina, please wait your turn. We're going to get to you on this. Go ahead.
Sorry, you haven't gotten to me. This is why I is fed up with the political class.
Mr. Trump, my listeners tell me again and again they're worried that Hillary Clinton will win the White House because you run as an independent. Are you ready to reassure Republicans tonight that you will run as a Republican and abide by the decision of the Republicans?
I really am. I'll be honest. I really am. I mean, people have been putting me to question. I really am.
I could apply.
We need toughness. Honestly, I think Jeb is a very nice person. He's a very nice person, but we need tough people. We need toughness. We need intelligence, and we need tough. Jeb said when they come across the southern border, they come as an act of love.
You said in September 30th that ISIS was not a.
Am I talking or are you talking, Jeb?
I'm talking right now. I'm talking.
You can go back. You're not talking. You interrupted me,
September 30th.
Are you going to apologize, Jeb? No.
This is a tough business to run for
I
president.
know. You're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is
real
principled.
tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the
Let's see.
presidency.
I'm at 42 and you're at 3. So
Doesn't
far
matter.
I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing better. You know, you started off over here, Jeb. You're moving over further and further. Pretty soon you're going to be off the end.
This doesn't do a thing to solve the problem. It doesn't do a thing to solve the problem.
It sounds more and more what my daughter said that I said in the beginning. All the fighting and arguing is not advancing us.
It will not
It is
solve
not
the
the way we're going to strengthen our country. We will strengthen our country when we come together.
You know, back in September, my friend Donald said that he had had his lawyers look at this from every which way.
Here's when Ted goes on the offensive. You got to do both, right? You got to do both. But you hear what he said in the beginning. My friend Donald.
And there was no issue there. There was nothing to this birther issue. Now, since September, the Constitution hasn't changed. But the poll numbers have.
NBC Wall Street Journal just came out with a poll. Headline, Trump way up, Cruz going down. I mean, so you can't, they don't like the Wall Street Journal, they don't like NBC, but I like the poll. Very, very fine constitutional attorneys that feel that because he was not born on the land, he cannot run for office. Here's the problem. We're running. He does great. I win. I choose him as my vice presidential candidate, and the Democrats sue because we can't take him along for the ride. I don't like that, okay? The fact is, and if for some reason he beats the rest of the field, and for some, see, they don't like that. They don't like that. No, they don't like that he beats the rest of the field because they want me. But if for some reason, Neil, he beats the rest of the field, I already know the Democrats are going to be bringing a suit. You have a big lawsuit over your head while you're running, and if you become the nominee, who the hell knows if you can even serve in office?
Well, listen, I've spent my entire life defending the Constitution before the U.S. Supreme Court, and I'll tell you, I'm not going to be taking legal advice from Donald Trump.
You don't have to. Take it from Lawrence.
What I'll tell you all,
take it from your professor.
What I will
Take
tell
it from
you
your own
also,
professor.
if this all works out, I'm happy to consider naming you as VP. And so if you happen to be right, you could get the top job at the end of the day.
No, I think if it doesn't.
I mean,
I like it. I'd consider it, but I think I'll go back to building buildings if it doesn't work out.
Actually, I'd
But
love
I have
to
a
get you to
feeling.
build
I have
a
a
wall.
feeling it's going to work out. Actually,
There were two GOP debates in January before the Iowa caucus, one in South Carolina and one in Iowa, which Trump skipped because he was still angry with Fox News and specifically Megyn Kelly.
and they've wanted me there, and they said, "How about now?" They called a few minutes ago. "How about now? Can you come over?" I said, "Hasn't it already started?"
I kind of miss Donald Trump. He was a little teddy bear to me. We always had such a loving relationship.
Let me say, I'm a maniac, and everyone on this stage is stupid, fat, and ugly. And Ben, you're a terrible surgeon. Now that we've gotten the Donald Trump portion out of the way.
In New Hampshire, I just received the support of 7 out of 8 of the newspapers in that state because they see positive, they see unity.
I've had more 2 a.m. phone calls than everybody here put together, making life and death decisions.
With a confused Ben Carson creating the most awkward introductions of the year, Republicans debated in New Hampshire 2 nights after the Democrats. With several candidates facing make-or-break votes, the event was filled with fireworks. The biggest one landed right on top of Marco Rubio and made for the most dramatic and talked-about moment.
Former Florida Governor Jeb Bush.
First, let's remember something. Every morning when a United States Senator wakes up, they think about what kind of speech can I give or what kind of bill can I drop. Every morning when I wake up, I think about what kind of problem do I need to solve for the people who actually elected me. It's a different experience. It's a much different experience. And the fact is, you have not been involved in a consequential decision where you had to be held accountable. You just simply haven't.
Under Chris Christie's governorship of New Jersey, they've been downgraded 9 times in their credit rating. This country already has a debt problem. We don't need to add to it by electing someone who has experience at running up and destroying the credit rating of the state. But I would add this. Let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is trying to change this country.
You see, everybody, I want the people at home to think about this. That's what Washington, D.C. does. The drive-by shot at the beginning with incorrect and incomplete information, and then the memorized 25-second speech that is exactly what his advisors gave.
On the eve of the New Hampshire primary, Rubio is being ridiculed for repeating himself repeatedly.
We are not facing a president that doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he is doing. Let's dispel
This video from Democrats and by the Republican rivals.
exactly what he's doing.
You know who the boy in the bubble is up here, who never answers your questions, who's constantly scripted and controlled because he can't answer your questions.
On the debate stage, just days.
That pretty much locked out Rubio from even being in contention at all. I mean, his numbers weren't good, but that really, really kicked him out.
Before the South Carolina GOP primary, the last stand between the Bush political dynasty and Donald Trump. At stake, the future direction of the Republican Party.
Vladimir Putin, you did at one point say, let Russia take care of ISIS.
Call me a genius. I like him so far, I have to tell you. Let me just tell you this. Jeb is so wrong. Jeb is absolutely so. That's just so you understand. You know what that is? That's Jeb's special interest in lobbyists talking. Look, let me just tell you something. Jeb Jeb is so wrong.
We need to create a coalition, Sunni-led coalition on the ground with our special operators to destroy ISIS and bring about stability. And you can't do that with Assad in power.
We're supporting troops that we don't even know who they are. We're supporting troops that we don't even know who they are.
Trump. All right.
We have no idea who they are.
Gentlemen, I think we're gonna leave that there. I've got a
This is
question
a guy
for
who
Senator.
gets his foreign policy from the shows.
Oh, yeah,
This is a guy who thinks that Hillary Clinton was a great negotiator in Iran. We're living in dangerous times.
New Hampshire.
This is a man who insults his way to the nomination.
44 million.
All right, ladies. All right.
Give me a break.
Gentlemen.
The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. They lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass
Okay.
destruction.
All right. Governor Booker.
I could care less about the insults that Donald Trump gives to me. It's blood sport for him. He enjoys it, and I'm glad he's happy about it. But
it's crazy to see a actual actual people in the stands when nowadays the political Trump versus Kamala or whatever that debate, there's nobody, and they have mics being shut off. Like, this guy changed everything about how this process goes.
I am
22 million.
I am sick and tired of him going after my family. My dad is the greatest man alive in my mind. While Donald Trump was building a reality TV show, my brother was building a security apparatus to keep us safe, and I'm proud of what he did. And he's had the gall to go after
The World
my
Trade
mother.
Center came
He's
down
had the
during
gall
his
to go
brother's
after
reign.
my
Remember
mother.
that.
Hold on.
Let me finish. He's had the gall to go after my mother.
That's not keeping
Look, I
us
won the
safe.
lottery when I was born 63 years ago. Looked up and I saw my mom. My mom is the strongest woman I know.
She should
This
be
is
running.
not about my family or his family.
Okay.
This is about the South Carolina families that need someone to be a commander-in-chief that can lead. I'm that person.
I just want to say, at least on behalf of me and my family, I thank God all the time that it was George W. Bush in the White House on 9/11 and not Al Gore. And George W. Bush enforced what the international community refused to do. And again, he kept us safe. And I am forever grateful to what he did for this.
How did he keep us safe when the World Trade Center came down? The world, I lost hundreds of friends. The World Trade Center came down during the reign of George W. Bush. He kept us safe. That's not safe. That is not safe, Mark.
I like Donald. He is an amazing entertainer. But his policies for most of his life,
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
for most of his life, his policies have been very, very liberal. That's a matter of
You are
principle,
the
and I'll
single
tell you.
biggest liar. You probably are worse than Jeb Bush. You are the single biggest liar.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the Republican candidates for President of the United States.
As the Republican nomination fight neared an end, the insults were flying.
The only person on the stage that's ever been fined for hiring people to work on your projects.
This is overdrive when it comes to these debates. This is when they gotta really, really kick it up a notch, or they're gone. They're out of there.
Legally, you hired some
No,
workers
I'm
from
the only
Poland.
one of the stage that's hired people. You haven't hired anybody.
In fact, some of the people
And by the way,
well, but hold on.
I've hired. And by the way, I've hired tens of thousands of people over my job. You've hired.
You've hired
nobody.
1,000 people
You've
from
had
another
nothing
company,
but problems
from another
with your
country.
credit cards, etc.
Let me say, let me just say, well, let me finish this statement. This is important.
You haven't hired one
He
person
hired
in your life.
workers from Poland, and he had to pay $1 million or so in a judgment.
wrong.
for hiring.
That's
It isn't-
wrong.
That's a fact.
Totally wrong.
Well, people can look it up. I'm sure people are Googling it right now.
I've
Look it up.
hired Senator Cruz.
Trump Polish workers. You'll see $1 million for hiring illegal workers on one of his projects. Yeah, he did.
I can tell you when I ran for Senate here in the state of Texas, I ran promising to lead the fight against amnesty, promising to fight to build a wall. And in 2013, when I was leading the fight against the Gang of Eight amnesty bill, where was Donald? He was firing Dennis Rodman on Celebrity Apprentice.
You get along with nobody. You don't have one Republican You don't have one Republican senator, and you work with them every day of your life, although you skipped a lot of time. These are minor details. But you don't have one Republican senator backing you, not one. You don't have the endorsement of one Republican senator, and you work with these people.
Senator Cruz.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
The former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, he said today, and I'm quoting him, he said, "I'm not going to pay for that, quote, effing wall." How are you going to make them pay for the wall?
I will, and the wall just got 10 feet taller, believe me. It's got 10 feet taller.
I don't understand, because your ties and the clothes you make is made in Mexico and in China. So you're going to be starting a trade war against your own ties and your own suits. All right.
You know why?
Why
Because
don't you
they
make them in
devalue
America?
their currencies.
No.
They devalue their currencies.
Well, then make them in
That
America.
makes it well, you don't know anything about business. You lose
Well,
on
make them in
everything you do.
America.
Let me just tell you. They devalue their currencies to such an extent that our businesses cannot compete with them. Our workers lose their
And so
jobs.
you make them
but
in
you
China
wouldn't
and
know
in
anything
Russia.
about it because you're a lousy
Well, I don't know
businessman.
anything about bankrupting four companies.
No,
You
I
bankrupted
know.
four.
You know what?
I don't know anything about it.
You know what?
Starting a
That's
university.
called one at a
That was
time.
a fake university.
First of all, one at
A
a
fake
time.
university.
That's called.
There are people
let
that
me just
borrowed
tell you, that's-
$36,000
Hold on, one at
to
a
go
time,
to
Mr.
Trump University, and they're suing him now. $36,000
And
to
by
go
the
to a
way,
university.
and by the way,
That's a fake school.
And by the way,
And you know what they got? They got to take a
I've won
picture with
most
a
of the
cardboard
lawsuits.
cutout of Donald Trump.
And by the way,
that's what they
I've
got
won
for the
most of the
$36,000.
lawsuits.
I want to move
And
on.
they actually did a very good job. Here's the guy. Here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have
Here's
as
the guy that
president.
inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I'm wrong. That is so wrong. We'll work on that. I took $1 million and I turned it into $10 billion. I borrowed $1
Then
million.
release the tax return so we can see how
I
much money he
borrowed
makes.
$1 million. I
he
turned it
doesn't make
into
that much
$10
money.
billion, more than $10 billion.
Thank you. I want to bring.
But now he's repeating himself.
No, I'm not repeating. No. I don't repeat myself. You don't repeat yourself. Here's the guy who repeats himself. You repeat yourself every day. I watched it, talking about repeating. I watched him repeat himself 5 times 4 weeks ago. And
I saw
wanna
you
tell
repeat yourself 5
it
times
was a
5
meltdown.
seconds ago.
I watched him melt down on the stage like I've never seen anybody.
Let's
I thought
stay
he came
focused
out
on
of
the
the swimming
substance.
pool.
I said, well,
Let's talk
I
about
see him
your
repeat himself
plan.
every night. It says 5 things. Everyone's dumb.
Senator
He's going to
Rubio.
make America great
Senator
again.
Rubio.
We're going to win.
Senator
He's
Rubio,
winning in the
please.
polls.
It's all true.
And the
Please
lines around the state. Every night. Same thing.
In this campaign for the last year,
This is
Donald
the
Trump has
last one, I
basically
believe.
mocked everybody with personal attacks. He's done so to people that are sitting on the stage today. He's done so about people that are disabled. He's done it about every other candidate in this race. So if there's anyone who's ever deserved to be attacked that way, it's been Donald Trump.
He hit my hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.
Our campaign is the only campaign that over and over again has beaten Donald Trump to date. And it's why we're the one campaign that going forward can and will beat Donald Trump in this election.
We are not going to turn over the conservative movement or the party of Lincoln or Reagan, for example, to someone whose positions are not conservative.
That 80% of the people don't dig you, and I'm back down to
Of
50.
all the people on the stage, he performs the worst against Hillary Clinton.
Wrong.
You're our nominee.
I beat Hillary
You'll
Clinton.
lose.
I
You
beat
lose
Hillary
by 8
Clinton in
points,
many
Ron.
polls. I beat
She will
Hillary
wipe
Clinton
you
in
out.
many polls.
If you're our nominee,
Hold on,
Excuse
Senator,
me,
hold
I
on.
think I'm talking.
Hold on,
Well, excuse me.
I beat
you'll lose by
Hillary
8 or 9
Clinton
points.
in
Hold on.
I hope you can.
If the audience cannot understand when you're talking over each other.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, little Marco.
Gentlemen, gentlemen.
You ought to show up.
Gentlemen, you gotta do better than this.
This guy has the number one
Mr. Trump, may I ask you,
absentee
Mr. Trump,
record in the
I'd like
United
to ask you a
States.
policy question.
Doesn't show
Your
up to
proposed
vote.
tax cut.
That's why the
Your
people in
proposed-
Florida do not like him.
All the people, all of the voters, I understand the folks who are supporting Donald right now. You're angry. You're angry at Washington, and he uses angry rhetoric.
What is on his
The
lip?
voters have a right to know.
No, you're the
because
liar.
we've been
You're the
lied
lying
to
guy up
too
here.
many times.
You're the
Why don't you
one.
release the
You're the
tape?
one.
Release the
You're
tape.
the one. Now let me
Why
just
are
tell you.
what
Let
are
me
you
just
hiding
say.
in the
Excuse me. I've given my answer, Lion Ted. I've given my answer.
All right, let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. We have more to get to.
Like dominoes, Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and John Kasich all exited the race, leaving Donald Trump as the Republican victor.
He basically just bulldozed the debates. This is kind of wild to watch. You forget how cutthroat these things really were for the time, and I just can't believe that out of all those people from a nobody to the presidency, and he just rips Hillary, and nobody guessed it, and it's just so crazy to see. I'm just kind of in awe at exactly how wild that really was for presidential debates, and no wonder they skewed a lot of it, so that can't happen anymore with the stage presence and talking over and the funny one-liners and stuff. He really changed the game, and for better or for worse, right? I'm not saying what he's saying wasn't over the top or not over the top. This is just who he is and how he does business and politics, and it's a blood sport at the end of the day. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share Smooth Unfiltered. Peace.